Another project I wanted to work on in the back of the F-150 was the fire extinguisher mount. Now, on my FJ that I had before, I was able to mount the fire extinguisher under the front seat, but these seats have, well, not really under the front seat, but just in front of the front seat. And these seats are all power, adjustable and everything else, so there's really no good mounting points under the driver's seat. That's where I wanted it. But in the back seat, right here, there's a pretty good mounting spot. Now this is the fire extinguisher here, and what I'm going to do is create a plate for it goes across here. This is the inverter. I'm just going to build just a flat plate and put it out, mill up a couple spacers to space it away so it'll clear the front of this box. And put a plate in there and then mount this fire extinguisher right up in there. That way when the seat's down, it's hidden. First part of the job is to just get a quick measurement across here. I'm going to use these factory bolt holes. This had a panel that went across. Now when both seats were in here, this had some sort of, it was a panel that went across and had like storage bins in it that were like this wide. I mean, I guess some people use those, but I mean, I'm not going to use them when I'm going to be traveling. They're just not wide enough. Taking it out just frees up so much more space back here. So I took it out, and it left these holes here. So I'm going to just use these two factory holes and make a plate and just a couple aluminum spacers to space those off and mount the fire extinguisher right directly on there. The measurement is roughly, I don't know, let's just make it 14 inches wide. It looks like the spacing, I don't know, that's probably about an inch. I think if, plus I have to have room for the bolts to go behind it. So if I space it off 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches, I think I should have enough space. Let's just make it 1.5 inches space. That'll be good. All right, the bracket is, see I had some bolts in here from the last time, but the bracket's about 2 inches wide. So we're going to cut a plate 2 inches wide, 14 inches long. And then grab a couple spacers. I just have some of this, I don't know what this is, probably cold rolled or however, it doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to put them on my lathe and drill the center out to the size of the bolt. I need to bolt it through that plate into the seat bracket at 1.5 inches so I can space it away. And then drill these 4 holes where these bolts go through for the fire extinguisher and mount it on there. And then once it's all mounted up, I'll paint it and be good to go. I have a lathe, metal lathe, and you don't need a metal lathe to do this. I'm just going to use it on this, but I mean, if you could just stack up a set of washers on here on a bolt or whatever you wanted to do, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to have any fancy tools to really get this done. You could use a piece of 2-inch wide steel. You can just buy it probably Home Depot or whatever and just cut it down and make the same thing. So I'm just using scrap that I have laying around. Okay, got that cut down. All I have to do is deburr it now. I'm going to wait to drill the holes in it because I don't know exactly if I want to mount it right under the middle of the seat or maybe towards the door side, so that way it's easier to get to, when you're running around because your truck's on fire. So plus I put this under the seat off camera and then measured the distance across that and then added the distance or the thickness of the nuts and washers here. And instead of making the spacer 1.5 inches, I'm going to make it about 1.125 inches because that should leave enough space in there to get everything under the seat. Okay, here's the spacers I made. I didn't show you how I machined these because, first of all, I'm not a machinist. I just do enough to get by myself. But if you want to learn how to machine stuff, just go on YouTube and search it. I mean, A-Bomb79's site is just fantastic. He does awesome work. He'd be the guy you'd want to watch. Any one of those guys are really way better than me on any of this. I mean, they do it professionally. So, and now I'm just going to deburr this piece right here, set it up, figure out where the holes are going to go in this, and take it in the truck too and see where the holes are going to go through this piece, and then position it. Okay, that's good enough. let's go put some holes in it inside the truck. Take this inverter top off here so I can get a little bit closer to it. All this is a plastic cover that just helps to protect the inverter. Well, this is going to be nice. This one on the closest to the camera has got a slot, so I can make a little bit of a mistake to get it in there. A little leeway, I guess you want to say. Said I probably want to put the fire extinguisher towards the outside of the door so it's just easier to get to. Probably way out here towards the end of this bracket. Let me get the whole fire extinguisher, see how much sticks out. See how far that door panel comes inside. Oh, that comes all the way to that plastic strip on the floor. Okay, so the door panel extends clear into this edge where the door panel, the edge of the door panel is. Let me change the camera here. Okay, when you close the door, this bump in the door panel comes all the way in to this edge right here. So that means we got to keep the fire extinguisher away from this edge so it doesn't hit right here and set it off. That would be kind of embarrassing. So I think if we just make it so that the handle's just inside the edge of this seat and probably put it towards the floor. Yeah, let's go with that. So that means I need to mount this plate as low as I can. I need to put the holes probably in the top quarter of the plate. And that'll get the fire extinguisher right about there. So probably the holes in the fire extinguisher go right about there. This will be the door side. Oops. .5 inches. Let's see how much excess I have on the end here. I could probably cut some of this off. I want to keep the plate as low in the truck as possible. So I'm not going to put the spacer right in the middle. I'm going to mount it towards the top here. And the spacer is about 1 inch in diameter, just a little bit less. I'm going to go 1/2 inch in here. And then from there we'll go 12.5, which works out to be 13, because I'm 1/2 inch in. All right, I'm going to deburr these. I'm going to round these ends a little bit more, and you can see I have some excess material on this end, so I'm going to cut a little bit of that off and then round the edges off, soften it up and put it in place and see what it looks like. And after that, we're going to paint it. That feels pretty good. Not too many burrs on it there. Let's go put it in the truck and see how it fits. There we go. All right. Let's see how this fits now. Okay, that's going to be good. Plenty of space behind it to get the bolts in. And that's going to go on right there. That's what it looks like from down below. You can see how much spacing is in between the inverter and the back of the bracket there, so more than enough space for the bolts to go through to hold that fire extinguisher plate on, or fire extinguisher mount on. I'm just going to sand it down a little bit, prime it, and throw some black paint on it, and it's going to be good to go. Paint's dry. I didn't drill the holes big enough. That was kind of stupid, huh? Well, one thing good is it is inside the truck, so I'll just touch it up with a paint pen. It's not like it's gonna really rust or anything, so it's more of an aesthetic thing than anything else. That'll do it. Okay, take two. Let's see if they fit this time. What? There they go. It's amazing when you have the right size hole for that, huh? All right, not bad. Take this lid off so I get a little bit more room in there to work. All right, I think I'm going to mount this with the handle up, I think, like this. The nozzle up. There's less chance of, well, I guess it doesn't matter. The handle doesn't really deploy it. It's the top button that deploys it. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to go with just like this. What the heck? Okay, that's the seat up. Seat down. It looks like I could have mounted this a little bit lower, a little bit closer to the floor, but the handle really doesn't hit the bottom of the seat. So it's pretty good, I think. And whether the seat's up or down, you can easily get in here. Just reach in, flip it, out it comes. I think you want to be searching around for this when your car's on fire. So, and it's not a huge fire extinguisher, but at least it's something. All right.